Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Jiayanu, Pakhair Agale, Ni Hao, Chunashumme, Washmale. Ohio Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal. Hale Shuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasalan Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Sobi, Balli Kereaya. Hosh Galdin and I, Hasayo, and thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into PT World. You're certainly watching World this morning. Now, it's a very well-learned colleague who just got back from, I think she took 2 days off, but first things first. Hello, Haja. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing today?
Walaikum assalam, and thank you so much for introducing me, Shahzada. I'm doing good. So, I went up into the mountains. Not exactly mountain, but sort of a mountainous area. I went to Eftabad and then to Murray. And I always feel, and I think Shahzad also propagate this thing, that, you should always travel because it broadens your horizons.
True.
And, it's also not just, the traveling, a discovery of a lot of things, but also of your inner self in that sense, right?
Exactly. And you've rightfully mentioned that it's because of the fact that the last time when I went to Hunza, so I actually felt that, there's this superior being out there because, no man can actually do what we get to see when you're traveling towards north as well. But not just that. Ladies and gentlemen, traveling to have that intent, first of all, that you're going to educate yourself and you're going to learn and be with other cultures is best. But imagine somebody traveled to Ahmedabad for a pair of shoes. I mean, I don't know whether to call it traveling or whether to call it learning as well. But let me ask her first, because usually she always used to remember before the show that she's not going to give me anything. Today, I don't know, I think she forgot. So why were you traveling to Ahmedabad just for a pair of shoes?
Okay, so my brother had to, buy some pair of shoes, and he said that that could only be bought from them. So I didn't go there. My father took us there. So we went there for a recreational purpose. And, I had a really emotive connection with the Ahmedabad because my younger sister was born there. Wow. And also, when we were growing up, we lived there for, I think, 2 years or less than that.
I like the Piffers mess over there.
Yes.
It's great, right?
So have you been to Baloch mess? And as you mentioned, when you're interacting with the stars and with the mountains and, these sort of entities, which makes you feel that, what is your existence? Who are you? And they, allow you to see the world through very different lens, through a very different angle. And I always feel that, we should interact with the infinite beings because, that makes you change your view on the life.
Exactly. And that's very well said too as well. But I have two memories of Ahmedabad. Number one, when Raheel Sharif Saab happened to be the Chief of Army Staff, he actually got us over to the Piffers mess as well, or you guys call it the Baloch mess.
So the both are two different mess. Piffers is below and Baloch is on the high.
So we were at the Piffers mess as well, and there was this great ceremony, and that was the first time that I met Chief of Army Staff Raheel Sharif Saab then. I still have the picture. Me and Mishi Khan did the show together. The other one is not a very fond memory because, so I got married and I was like, okay, what, where should we go? And so my drama TV serial was actually being premiered the very exact day when I reached Ahmedabad.
Oh, nice.
And guess what? So I left my wife alone in the room and then I went downstairs into the mess. And I called up my friends over to watch the first episode of the drama. And the next morning, it was a lot of other drama going on, So, we were like, okay, my wife was like, what were you actually thinking about? And I was like, hey, you know what? This was for the very first time a drama was premiering. But yes, we've forgotten that. But she still reminds me at times that, Ahmedabad is not a place to go for honeymoon at all.
I think, why is that so?
I think I'm going to agree to, the weather is not just very amazing in Ahmedabad. In winters, it might probably be. But we went in January, the weather was exactly the same the way it was in Islamabad as well.
I do feel that, Ahmedabad has somewhat of a lower temperature than the Islamabad when it comes to that. But maybe, in winters it might be, the temperature might be same. So now moving on to a very lovely segment that I, personally love a lot. That is our news segment. And, so there's something happening, especially when it comes to the global and international scene. So our Prime Minister and the Chinese ambassador met each other, and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has underlined the government's commitment to unlock the full economic and connectivity potential of the CPEC through expedited and high-quality development of the CPEC projects. Shehbaz Sharif expressed these views in a meeting with the Chinese ambassador to Pakistan, Nong Rong, who called on him in Islamabad. Shehbaz Sharif emphasized the importance of key projects like ML1 and KCR in Pakistan's development plans and expressed the desire to move towards finalization of these projects in the upcoming 11th meeting of the CPEC Joint Cooperation Committee. Sharing Pakistan's focus on the early development of the CPEC Special Economic Zone, Prime Minister welcomed increased investment of the Chinese enterprises, especially in the country's industrial development. Oh, that is, some really important political developments happening, and referring to the increasing bilateral trade volumes and Pakistan's record exports of US $3.6 billion in 2021. Prime Minister emphasized that enhanced market access for Pakistani export to China would help realize the full potential of Pakistan-China free trade agreement.
Wow, that's just wonderful, and we've been talking about it, how Premier Mr. Shahbaz Sharif Saab has been at the diplomatic front, making sure that our ties are going to get stronger with all of those nations who are out there, who've been friends with Pakistan. And believe me or not, but we have literally seen PMLN, doing such amazing job with whatever they kind of agree to. They would always make sure that they're going to chase it. They're going to do it within that certain time period. There are not going to be any delays, no leakages, no loopholes. So credit goes to you as well. But now coming down to where sports, ladies and gentlemen, is really very important for your life. And to have a disciplined life, you really need to send your kids, or probably make them that they adopt some sort of sport. So the Commonwealth Games, 22nd edition, is going to take place in England, Birmingham. And the best part over here is that around 5,000 athletes from 72 nations and territories, mostly former British colonies, to compete in 19 sports over 11 days. Well, the time frame's a little shorter. Some track and field stars will be absent when the competition gets underway, just days after the end of the World Championships in Eugene, Oregon. But there will still be plenty of big names on show at the event, which features sports as diverse as lawn bowls and marathon running. The Commonwealth Games are sometimes seen as a quirky relic in the modern sporting calendar, but former International Olympic Committee marketing chief Michael Payne says they have consistently defied the doomsayers. The Commonwealth Games are not on the scale of the Olympics that Birmingham once aspired to host. The city was beaten by Barcelona for the right to put on the 1992 Games, but officials hope they can provide a big economic boost for the area. Wow. So Birmingham is officially my city. Alhamdulillah, we have a family home over there, and it's always wonderful to be in Birmingham. And if somebody is actually willing to go to Birmingham, please make sure that you go to Bullring. That's where you shop quite a lot of things. Make sure that your pockets are deep, because the pound's too expensive these days. All right. Now coming down to what we did yesterday. So Hajar, yesterday was a very important day because we observed World Hepatitis Day 2022. And the theme was that we really need to bring the hepatitis care closer to people as well. So, talking about Quaid-e-Azam Hospital, Maroof Hospital, PAIMS, Holy Family, Shifa Hospital, all the private and the public institutions joined hand, and they made sure that they're going to raise awareness about hepatitis. And what we kind of figured out just yesterday in our conversation on the show was that 4 of the very reasons of why people get hepatitis are by the healthcare givers or the paramedics as well, because it's either the use of the needle, it's either, those oral equipment people use, which is not sterilized as well. So 4 reasons come out from the healthcare providers as well. So for people who are out there, please make sure that whenever you go to a hospital, these are the visuals of PF Hospital as well. So each and every hospital in the Twin Cities collaborated. They did a wonderful job. And I think it was great to have these amazing gentlemen to raise awareness about this very illness, which happens to be a silent killer and can be dealt with if we test it in time. This testing is for free, and we have given away a lot of information how the treatment for hepatitis is free in certain hospitals as well. So God forbid, if any of your loved one is going through such a condition and you cannot afford it, there are hospitals. You just have to go check our YouTube show for yesterday, put in the date, and you will see the further details as well. Now moving on to where I believe that this is something which will lead us towards what we wanted to talk about on the show today. Go ahead, Hajar.
Okay, so this is one of the topics that I passionately feel about. That is women empowerment, and it is happening in Saudi Arabia. So that is what our news says. In order to further empower women and young people, Saudi government decided to introduce reforms in the administration of Saudi institution, which is in charge of Islam's 2 holiest sites. The institution is known as General Presidency for the Affairs of 2 Holy Mosques that plans a historic administrative shake-up in this regard. The presidency's chief, Abdul Rahman al-Saudis, says that the empowerment of women and youth are a pivotal aim of the planned revamp. Al-Sudais added that the presidency is used to taking care of them and dispatching them abroad to pursue higher studies. Presidency has already set up a women's development affiliate as a part of the boosting female Saudis' engagement in serving pilgrims and worshippers at a grand mosque in Mecca and the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's mosque in Medina. In the recent years, Saudi Arabia has made big strides in empowering women as a part of massive changes in the kingdom.
Exactly, and you know what, for all of those people who are out there who usually travel to Makkah or Medina for the sole purpose of Umrah or Hajj,
Right.
you know, I've been to Saudi Arabia, alhamdulillah,
Right.
myself, and I got the chance to go visit their universities as well. So they're already very empowered. It's not that they're not empowered.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you know, for every student who's actually going to enroll themselves in university will get 2,000 riyals from the king himself.
Not quite an incentive.
And not just that, you know, in the recent years, we have seen how Mohammed bin Salman has made sure that, you know, the world's going to go for tourism to Saudi Arabia as well. And we have seen how they have permitted women to go, kind of now drive as well. And, you know, when we talk about UAE, so the modernization and the impacts of modernization were very well understood by the Saudi kingdom as well. And that's what certainly they want to do. They want people to come in, you know, not just for Umrah or Medina, Umrah or just go to Medina or Makkah, but rather they want people to come in for tourism as well. And I think that when they will empower all of these amazing people who are out there, I think they will be able to contribute to their economy and to their goals.
Right. This is what is, you know, happening out there. And Shahzad, thank you so much, you know, that you very aptly mentioned that. So you've mentioned that, you know, there's actually women empowerment going on inside Saudi Arabia. And I do feel that it was one of the cities which, you know, has this concept of, you know, women empowerment even before it was coined in the Western academia. So for example, you know, so the Prophet's wives used to come out and then he used to preach after his death. And then a lot of, you know, traditions are actually related to them. And, you know, they used to even go to the mosque, and, you know, where they used to lecture people. And I don't think so, you know, we can even imagine that in here. But this is how the media has been framing what is women empowerment and how it's not there in particular regions of the world, because that doesn't, you know, so correlate with the Western concept, with the Western standard of that when it comes to that, right?
Exactly. And in addition to that, Hajra, you know, you very rightfully mentioned that how media is projected, you know, I mean, obviously there are certain agendas which they want to project about different countries, different nations too as well. But empowerment does not really mean wearing lesser clothes. You know, this is something for men and women too as well. You know, so the religion Islam actually gives you a complete holistic approach towards how you really need to be a good Muslim. Empowerment comes in, obviously, you know, when we talk about Hazrat Khadija, I mean, obviously, you know, she has given us, or this is an example which we can share with our women out there as well, that how, you know, she has managed to kind of be a business lady, but then at the same time, she would make sure that, you know, that all of those bindings the religion has provided us, she would look after them as well, which I believe is great. Now, coming down to media and news agencies, first things first, you know, the other day we wanted to have this conversation how, you know, now the people do not really trust the media agencies these days as well, and how, you know, there are lesser people now who are more inclined towards reading newspapers because nobody is doing the fact search kind of thing as well. And this is something which we really need to combat with as well. So either, you know, the readers are coming up or going down, or e-newspapers will be the thing or the buzzword.
Right. Thank you so much, you know, for mentioning that. And, you know, you were particularly mentioning the Reuters digital report that came out about the 2022. And one of the trend, you know, that was very concerning was that people have actually stopped reading news because it's very depressing. You know, so a lot of people who are from the journalism background, I think, you know, they need to do something to rehaul the journalism, or otherwise, you know, their jobs are at the stake, you know, because that is what the report mentioned, and it comes to that. So without any further ado, and I would like to delve more into this topic and talk about journalism more, because, you know, I feel very passionate about it. We have a very lovely guest here in the studio who's going to enlighten us about what are the trends in the Pakistani journalism and the print media when it comes to that. She happens to be the op-ed editor of the Daily Times, and she is a very lovely Durre Nayab. Akram, assalamu alaikum and welcome to our show.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me. It's an immense pleasure, and this is my second stint. So yes, let's of course.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. But I think, you know, since Hajra has got the degree of journalism, I would actually want her to take the lead, and then later on I will join in too as well. So Hajra, please lead.
So one of the trend, you know, which I actually mentioned in the Reuters digital report is that, you know, people are actually, you know, straying away from the news because they feel it's very depressing. Actually, when in the COVID times, there was a spike in the news, what do you call, consumption, because they wanted to get news from a good sources, for example, from the print media. So, you know, they saw a spike in the numbers when it comes to the news.
And during COVID, they said that, you know, it was authentic news, you know, which we got to hear.
So there are two things about it. If you think about it, there has been reported an overall trend: people do not like to read, and as
in Pakistan.
Overall, I think.
Overall, I've seen a lot of people reading, yeah. You know, wherever you go to a bus stop, airport, everywhere, they're reading.
But social media does have, I think, affected our attention span because, a lot of time we are, reading the content or engaging with the content which we like in that sense, right?
I mean, I am a toddler mom and I used to be a voracious reader. But to get my 2-year-old to drop the phone and get her not so appealing paperback, that is not a challenge I had set out for. So there is something about that too. And yes, they are totally spot on when they talk about the trends. I mean, if you talk about the international stage, all they are talking about is Ukraine. All they are talking about is the war. And if you talk about Pakistan, all the news channels talk about is politics. So where are the human interest stories? Where are the stories that people can relate to, that people can feel good about, or that people can think that there is something that needs to be talked about?
Right.
But you know what, over here, what I'm going to mention is now, what happens is that naturally we are so tamed by these news agencies that for whatever positive comes out of the newspaper is not worth mentioning to everybody. Just to have a debate and a dialogue and an argument, what we would do is that we would refer to that part of the newspaper where somebody will start that argument with you too as well. That's how we've been tamed and trained to as well. So today if I read a good news in the newspaper, nobody's going to share it. Because people know, hey, you know what, it does not really matter.
It's not that newsworthy.
So I really
जहाँ बहस बनती है ना,
and it doesn't qualify for WhatsApp forwarding as well, ना? WhatsApp पे तो बहस नहीं हो सकती.
Yeah.
Right. That's very true. And Shahzad, you very aptly mentioned, and one of my professors used to say that harm is very inherent in journalism, right? And in violence is what makes a story. So for example, if there is the thing going on, right, that a person has killed another person, it's going to be a story, right? We're going to see it, that there's sort of sensationalism into it. But if you see that someone is baby planting a plant, maybe it's not become a story or the front page story.
The gorier the detail, the more PR you get, na?
Right.
And in addition to that, I'm going to give you a very solid example from recent times as well. Imagine, because from the last 2-3 days, I've been seeing that gentleman in my dreams too as well, and the thoughts have been coming to me over and over again. I was just thinking that how I've been missing Mr. Amir Liaquat being on screen, to be very honest. And imagine that his recent interviews, he stated that I've called so many media houses and TV channels to give me some work, but they didn't. As soon as he passed away, every channel started to report about him and did it for the next 3 or 4 days as well. So imagine what I was trying to say, that we are, violence inherent, I think these are the things which the media houses really need to be careful, that once the individual actually needed your support, you weren't around. As soon as he passed away, everybody made sure that they're going to jump into this ball game of ratings.
But that holds true in every case, right? Whenever there's you are only going to report a building.
May so rest in peace, yes. Ameen.
Ameen. You're only going to report a building when it has fallen down. Are you going to report on the conditions that made the building fall down? Never. And also, you guys must have known the terminology of a burning building or the or the baby.
These are the questions they ask you in exams of journalism too as well. Yeah.
Okay. So have you given the exam? Okay.
That's why I know.
Wow.
So that's the thing now, and also it talks more about our human nature as well. We as humans are the biggest consumers of tragedy and the gorier the details and violence. So, I mean, if it were up to me, I would love to cover human interest stories, splash them across the front page. But would people buy them? No.
That's the question.
I think people would buy them because this is what exactly the report was mentioning, that why people are turning away from
We've tried that. That doesn't work.
Okay. So for example, one of the points that it mentioned was that a lot of news stories or the news industry has sort of started as solution journalism when it comes to the climate change, right? So there are a lot of stories. So initially the media, painted the debate in like that there is going to be a doomsday coming on because we are not acting enough, and that was not actually tickling away people to do more about the climate change, right? So the report mentioned that now they have started doing stories about how people are actually fighting the climate change by doing this innovation, by doing that, and that is really working when it comes to that. In Pakistan, do you see that there's this trend of, or there's a particular beat of climate change?
Yeah, we did that 3 days ago. When I was covering the monsoon season for our editorial pages, and instead of saying this hasn't been done, this hasn't been done, this hasn't been done, I talked about the mega rainwater harvesting plant in New York. I talked about the miracle rainwater harvesting garden in Bangkok, and then I said these are the examples. If these people can do it, why can't we?
Right. And there are actually stories within the Pakistan too, right?
Definitely. They are not much talked about because, of course, hush.
Yeah, come on. You have to spill the secret
because
out.
I think that, international media has a lot of money when it comes to investing in their journalists, and Pakistani media does not have that much amount of the money.
I mean,
when
if
it comes
you
to
expect a newsroom full of only 10 people to cover a country full of how strong are we? 220 million?
Yes,
Yeah, 220 million.
220 million.
Probably growing every single day.
Yeah, probably growing by leaps and bounds.
Alhamdulillah.
Right.
So, which is why, in addition to that, what I certainly wanted to ask you over here is that there's this recent trend which I've seen. I mean, it has been there forever.
Right.
I personally do not watch all of these, shows at late at night. People are in this habit of watching these shows and then arguing over the facts which are being shared within those shows as well.
Right.
Well, I'm the sort of a person who would rather think that, okay, if I can change something, I would rather want to contribute to that. But if I cannot, I will stay away from arguing about it as well. But what I have seen is that, when we talk about journalists and journalism in common or in general, what I see is that people who are journalists are supposed to break a news, rather not give views on top of that.
Okay.
So what I have seen is that people, rather than breaking the news, they start to view on it, they start to create opinions on it, and that's where, it becomes an agenda-based news where somebody is actually going to take favor out of it.
I mean, you would
or
give
it
them
will add on to
that by the time they sit in their studios and they are hosting their shows, the news is already out.
Yeah.
So it is their job to give the views on the news. But even while doing so, you need to maintain a certain
balance.
Yeah.
Because in Pakistan we have seen how different channels are not now inclined towards different political parties, and
Right.
there's this constant argument. You switch to another channel, they will share a very different story. You switch to another channel, you will see, okay, everything's fine. Everything's going smooth and calm. So
That's
this
so
is
true.
how we kind of say that that the trust within these news agencies have been going down as well. But let's put that aside.
Okay.
Let's talk about how newspapers are being consumed in these days. We in 2022. Do you think that there's more consumption, or do you think that it's going towards a decline?
So of course there has been a decline, but there has been a decline the world over. Like, I'm so done with this doomsday pandering. I mean, I swear I've lost count of how many people come up to me and they're like, बेटा कोई और काम कर ले, ये न्यूज़पेपर तो चलने वाला नहीं है, 1 साल 2 साल. They even give me a timeline as if they have this stopwatch. वो 2020 वाला जो scene था, that is for us as well, and they keep telling us to find a new skill or learn a new degree. But the point is, yes, you're right, the current model, the one that we are known for, that is a hit and miss in the revolutionizing digital age, and the bullet train left a long while ago. But what is left now is to adapt, and those who are adapting are thriving.
True.
Right. Shahzad, so you very aptly mentioned about how the media wars are going on inside the country, where there's a lot of polarization created along the party lines, and this is not a phenomenon new to Pakistan. It has been actually going on inside the America, because CNN is known for a very pro-democratic approach, and Fox News is known for a very pro-Republican approach when it comes to that. And Trump actually mentioned that it's a Clinton news network, talking about the broadcast and the print journalism and another media that is springing up, and that is already here, which is the new media, the social media. And the report also mentioned that there are a lot of people who are actually doing citizen journalism, right? So there are a lot of podcasts that have been, spring up in the aftermath of that. But the people who are sitting in the newsroom, they have a serious problem with them, because they say that they're not fact checking with it, right? There's no filters through which news can go out, and so resultantly any news can go out and people can actually believe that it's true.
I'm itching to respond
right.
to that.
That's why I'm taking this conversation towards you. So please go ahead.
Acha, listen. In a newsroom,
Okay.
Shift in charge selects the story.
Right.
The subs it.
Right.
Then that gets checked by the page in charge.
Okay.
Then by the quality control.
Right.
And then the final midnight nod by the top boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we do that to a person who is sitting in their lounge and has a phone in their hand and they are saying this happened, or मैं बताऊंगा तहल के नाज, तहल का फाश, something. I read that.
तहलका मचा देंगे.
तहलका मचा देंगे.
और देखिए इस वीडियो में क्लिक कीजिए.
And nothing of the sort happens in that video.
Right.
I've seen so many videos, and the
Clickbaiting.
thumbnail does not relate to the video.
True.
Right.
So I mean, we are not to be blamed here. Come on.
I mean, only if print
But
media had this opportunity to trick people like that, they would have done that.
I
too.
wish, man.
Turn to page number 9 and see what the story holds for you.
I so wish we could do that.
Right.
Yes.
But there's certain independence that comes with your own digital, the podcast.
I'm not saying that it's a wrong
journalism.
thing, but I mean, everything has its pros and cons, right?
Right.
And we have seen so many news outlets, so many news organizations adapting to the formula. NPR does it, Al Jazeera does it. I'm not taking any names here, but all the media giants in Pakistan are also in one way or another shifting to the bandwagon as well. So, but when an institution does it, the same formula, the same protocols, the same procedures, they do apply. But when a single individual does it, and that single individual is free to do whatsoever or whosoever, but don't call yourself a journalist.
True.
Why not? I mean, citizen journalism sparked a revolution in the
I cannot agree with you on that.
Okay.
Now, in addition to that, taking this conversation forward, she's very rightfully mentioned that how people, news editors and people at the desk really do feel that, hey, you know what, these people, they share whatever they want to share and then they become journalists. So let's not go over there. I want, whoever thinks they're a journalist, it's your choice, think whatever you want to think. The only problem over here in Pakistan, which I feel exists, is because I've been a news anchor myself, that how we actually are kind of taking out news from routers most of the time. We're making sure that, okay, this is that one source. So imagine whatever they're putting is going to the rest of the world. How we have been so incapable of making sure that we are going to have such an agency which will harvest news by its own self, and then people will use locally and domestically and internationally as well. Why do you think that we were so unable to produce such a news agencies which people could follow, take out the news for their own country, from their own country, and by the people of the country?
I mean, we do have it. We do have local news agencies. They are not that big. They are not that extensive. Or sometimes they do a very shoddy work at their editing. But the scene is that you cannot really expect. This has more to do with the workload, and this has more to do with our failure to produce individualized, unique content. So when we don't really have news stories to fill our pages, of course we are going to rely on the parent organizations. And every newspaper has it, every news channel has it. Every news channel has some agencies that they are going to borrow the content from.
And I like how journalists have actually branched out, because I was in a firing incident 3 or 4 years back. And guess what? So the incident occurred somewhere around 1 or 2 at night. And the next morning I got a call from some police station guy who said that, hey, you know what, you've been in this incident and whatnot. And I was like, how did you got to know? It was like one of the reporters told me, and I was like, so their news channel is, how they branch out is very different.
News travels
criminal
fast
investigation. When we talk about criminal journalism or investigation, I think all of these people do contribute to that. But unfortunately, because we have seen how Iqrarul Hasan has been doing all of those shows as well, right? Some of the days, there will be people who were saying that, it was all fake. Some of the days there were people who were saying that, okay, it was 100% reliable too as well. So we've never come down to a point where we realize that all the news channels which we are watching are actually giving us the information which is absolutely on point. Do you think that every news channel which is giving away news is absolutely on point, 100% honest?
We are a work in progress, and if you think about it,
I like how you're playing around with words now, because you happen to be yourself an editor at Daily Times.
That's true, because Pakistani media got privatized, I think, 2 decades ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. We are a baby, if you think about it. I mean, and look at the news ethics in India.
Oh yeah.
They are
so
bad.
They have no ethics at all, right?
There are no ethics at all.
They have no sense. They have no sense at all how
so
to
we
treat a
are
guest.
stepping. We are way better than them. There are no shouting matches going on. I mean, we had our dark days, but I think
it wasn't even by the host or the journalist himself.
Oh yeah,
it was by the people from the opposing political parties.
I mean, the TRPs were involved. You would give them that, but okay.
Yeah, for not going to the break and televising it on air, all of that jagda, I think it's.
और नहीं थोड़ी सी माचिस तो जाती थी अब ये बात तो गलत है.
That's true, but thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you
so much, guys. It was lovely to be in conversation with you, and you definitely shared the same flair we had for journalism. So it was a great conversation.
Thank you
so much. Look forward
to
having you over again as well. For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, you consume news. I think it's going to have a very I don't know. It totally depends on the kind of news you consume. So it's going to have that impact, because whatever you manifest, it will come to you. So please make sure, because the other day I was thinking that, hey, you know what, Allah, I'm so thankful that I'm so healthy that I can go to the gym, work out, do whatever I want to do. And just 2 days ago, I actually got a chuk in my back too as well, and I was like, okay, probably these were my days to rest as well. With that, we're actually heading out towards a short break. But when you guys come back, we'll be talking about what should we actually consume, eating, right? So that we have a greater mind, greater soul, and we feel emotionally stable, and that we are good people, we're good to humans. Whenever we are on the shows, we make sure that we speak the truth too as well. With that, we're actually heading out towards a short break. Don't go anywhere. We will be
right back.
Good morning.
Welcome back. And Shahzad, early on we were having a conversation about how the digital media is consumed by the people, and how their new trends set up. So Shahzad, I really wanted to ask you one question. Okay, so if there's a person who has a great styling sense, right, and then another person who has a great smile, which person do you prefer more?
One who has got more stylish friends?
No, that person has a more great styling sense when it comes to that.
Okay.
And second, which has a great smile.
Well, I think both go hand in hand. A person who's going to have a great smile.
I think
your smile is only going to look good when you've dressed up fashionably well. Otherwise, you keep on smiling in a vest and a shalwar. You won't look nice. Nobody's going to pay attention to that. But I think smile, making sure that you look good yourself, gives you confidence, and your personality boosts up as well. But all of these things go hand in hand, because smile obviously happens to be the best curve on a human body.
Right.
And I appreciate smiling. People make sure that you smile, because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to smile. He never laughed. I think there might be one or two occasions where he might have laughed, but he's only smiled all throughout his life. Smile. I think I'll go with smile.
Smile, right? Why? Because
you wanted an answer, one answer, right?
Okay. So smile. Why? Because I think when you're smiling, there's this sparkle in your eyes, and it really fits good on your personality.
And she starts to think that okay, I'm thinking about something naughty, or probably I'm going to pull her leg on the show too as well, which is not the case at all. Even today, she said, I can see that shine in your eyes. Please don't do anything. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. But it's great.
You have been kind enough, right? Okay. So and we have in the studio a very amazing guest, who's going to be speaking on a very a sort of different topic, because I've never heard it before, which is about holistic nutrition. So Shahzad was talking about how it is very much important that we need to have a healthy lifestyles. And when it comes to healthy, of course, your diet consumption is very important when it comes to that, right? There was this report which mentioned that how there are particular type of the food which are now being consumed, and the diversity in the food has gone down. And that's really true, because when you go to hoteling or restaurant, so you mostly find pastas and pizzas, and they have a lot of maida flour in it, right? Yeah. You do not find that much stuff about the wheat. Of course, there are continental hotels out there, but and I do feel that this food which have more fiber in it, they have some sort of dip down when it comes to that, especially in our diets, and resultantly we have a lot of problems when it comes to diseases, when it comes to not a very healthy bodies when we have. So to talk about this topic, and about how diet is very important when we are talking about healthy lifestyle, and when we are talking about looking pretty and good styling, so we are going to talk about this more, because we have a very amazing guest in our studio who happens to be Miss Hina Anis, and she is holistic nutritionist. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for coming to our show.
And thank you for having me on your show, and you both are looking amazing this morning.
Thank you very much, and likewise for you too as well. And we are glad that you've taken out time. You've flown all the way from Karachi to come for our show as well, which obviously makes us feel wonderful.
Thank
you.
We
seriously want to be wonderful hosts today as well. And that's the hospitality of PTV, to be very honest. But let's get started. So obviously we were talking about, because this is one thing which I've been listening to quite a lot, or hearing, that whatever you eat, that's what you're going to be.
Exactly.
So is that true? Because if I'm eating a lot of pasta, do I look like pasta?
Yeah. What I believe provide your body what your body likes, then your body will provide what you like, actually.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So if I like myself to stay always young, healthy, glowing, in fact happy, I have to provide those kind of food to my body which makes my body happy.
What are those foods for you?
All right, there are five major food which I have to provide my body daily, so my body will be happy, healthy, glowing from inside, so I will be happy, healthy, glowing from outside.
What are those 5 foods? Let's see. What are those?
There are the fresh fruits every day, my nature's candy.
Right.
And it's easily available.
Right. Yep.
And the point number 1 of this, sub point of that is seasonal and regional.
Okay.
No can, no pack, no preservatives.
Right.
All seasonal, all natural, very much cheaply available.
And in abundance too, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Next to your dhaba, thela, and whatever available close to your region.
But not cheap anymore, though, very expensive.
I agree. I agree. But season-wise, Allah Ta'ala designed everything according to season, which is good for our health. Nature's candy, good amount of carbohydrates, good amount of glucose, sugar, fructose, good for energy, mind energy, everything. Second thing, vegetables. Plenty of
Take your greens.
Greens and all kind of vegetables.
Ye bhi seasonal and regional?
Seasonal and regional.
Okay.
Okay.
No packed, no cans, and do not freeze your vegetable. No frozen.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, wo jo,
Strawberries are usually
strawberry,
freezed,
Mummy ko
no,
asaani hoti
the
hai na,
broccolis and the
Right.
corns are usually utilized frozen. No.
But it's easier for the women at house now, though,
I
it's because of the
totally
fact that, you
agree.
know, they cook once and then, you know, next week you
But
warm it up and
again-
eat it.
Again, I agree, but it's not good for your body. But your gut health is not accepting those kind of a food which are frozen.
Right.
Just because as much as this is fresh, consume within 3 to 6 hours when your food is cooked.
All right.
Okay.
So number 2, it's all fresh fruits and vegetables. These
Yeah.
are 2. Number 3, all complex carbohydrates. Very, very essential for your fuel. Carbohydrates, your body fuel.
Okay.
Without carbohydrates,
yeah,
nobody can survive.
It gives
Nobody.
you energy, right?
It's your energy. These days, people are avoiding carbohydrate.
Right.
I mean, they are thinking that, oh my God, carbohydrates are the big culprit. We cannot take it. But you have to take it. Oats are the best carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Right.
My best friends, oats and quinoa. Okay,
Oh,
both are
that's
my
nice.
best friends.
Okay,
Right.
wonderful. So,
So
3
I
points.
did 3
Two
points. Number 4, your macro and micronutrient has to be balanced in a few forms of some proteins, means dals, lentils and legumes.
Okay.
more.
Every
Probably
day.
beans too as well, huh?
Yeah, few amounts of complexes of this, right?
True.
And number 5 is all seeds.
Right.
2 tablespoons of mixed seeds according to your body is every day
I think the only
essential.
seeds I know about is chia seeds, I think.
Not at all. Not at all.
No? Okay.
I mean, not only chia seeds. It depends. Depends on a customized body.
And kalonji too as well. I don't know what to
Kalonji,
call kalonji in
few.
English.
7 seeds of kalonji
Yeah.
every day. Do not chew it. Just sip it with a glass of water.
I have a better solution. Just
What?
put it on top of the yolk of your half-fried egg.
It's,
Take a
it's
nawala.
good. No, mashallah, it looks so nice. No?
It does, it does.
Okay, you
So these are the 5
5.
things.
Right.
You take it every day, and the two important things. Sugar.
No, no, it's
avoid-
not for you. it's our
non-verbal
conversation.
communication.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sugar and visible commercial oil. Eliminate it.
Okay.
Okay.
You will be on the right track.
Wow.
This is what a holistic
Okay,
nutrition.
so when you were talking about, you know, how we should consume our food within 6 to 8 hours, right? So, you know, I was reminded of the days back, you know, when we used to visit our village and, you know, so still there's this tradition, you know, where it is cooked in an earthen pot and it has such a different taste to it when it comes to that. And, you know, there's so much good, you know, especially when it comes, if you compare them to, you know, the tin pots that we have in our houses right now, and the water that we consume from that earthen, it is so cold and it is so good when it comes to that. So one of the reason I think we have a lot of diseases is that we are moving far away from a very natural, you know, living style that we use.
there is a scientific reason behind that. You know, the clay remove the impurities.
Right.
What's inside the
Filters it.
water, what's inside your food, what the microbiomes in your food. The clay has a power to remove that from your
That's
food.
true, that's true.
And it has a power to cool down your water and all.
Right.
So this boosts the health. And
Yes.
that is so good. And in you know your circadian rhythm in those area, people used to wake up early. They used to sleep early, and this is the law of nature.
That's
No, but
true.
I've been waking up early for the last 10 years. In fact, all my life, because prior to that, you know, just the Karachi time in between, I was waking up at 12 or 1 in the day.
Okay.
But, you know, before that was college, university, school. So I was waking up early. And now for the last 9-10 years that, alhamdulillah, I've been doing well this morning. I've been waking up early as well.
Right.
So do you think that I'm healthier because of the fact that I'm a member of the 6 a.m. club?
Right?
Does it...
Yes. As far as you feeling that you're healthy, and I mean judging you that yes you are healthy.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you for judging me. It was
See,
good to be judged by you.
bless yourself every day. Gratitude yourself every day. You know, what are the 4 major factor of holistic wellness?
I was about to ask you that.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
You know, myself always give the question and answer.
Please go ahead, which is why we have you over here. Go ahead.
You know what? It's considered an individual, complete, you know, spiritual.
Right.
intellectual,
Right.
physical,
Right.
and emotional.
Yes.
Right.
And
See,
even World Health Organization says that as well.
Right.
So thank you very much. But let me,
Right.
I want to come back to being holistic nutritionist. Now, obviously, you know, we've spoken about emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental health, and it's great. But you know, just at the beginning of this segment, I said that you know whatever you manifest, it comes to you. So, and I think that it comes under the umbrella of a holistic nutritionist as well. How do you think that we change our habits of manifesting? You know, because most of the time we are thinking about, yaar, kuch galat na ho jaye, ye na ho jaye, wo na ho jaye. Khuda na khasta, we keep on praying to Allah Almighty. How do we start to manifest positively so that all of these things,
and that too in an era, you know, where we consume so much burgers and, you know, the junk food, and that comes so handy and so readily available when it comes to that.
I mean,
And
I
we
have
do
not had a burger in last, I think,
Pizza?
month.
Shawarma?
Pizza one.
Okay.
Once I have had 2 slices of pizza.
you know, it's all come from your mind. It starts from here. Every day you need to, when you wake up, you need to give 5 to 10 minutes to yourself. Talk to yourself. First, gratitude yourself. Say thanks to Allah Ta'ala and go with flow. Don't, first I want to answer herself that don't think about those junk food. Don't just browse your Instagram
She even
and
gets
don't
it for our office people as well, the pizza. Yeah.
don't browse your Instagram to see the food blogs or vlogs. I don't know what to say, those vlogs. So don't see those beautiful pictures of burgers and fascinating cakes and
Because they
cookies.
don't actually look like that in reality. फिर खाना ही पड़ता है बस, उन्हें खा लो.
Exactly. Those are the pictures mimicries. And don't think whatever, you know, what you eat, it all starts from here. The way you start your planning, you will end up on that thing. So start, don't plan that thing. Just stop thinking that, only think about the fruits, vegetables. These are your friends. Make those juices. Just think.
But
you know myself, when you go and check my bag, you'll be find an apple inside.
Really?
So what is
Your
this
bag is
science
somewhere here.
behind-
Yes, inside office, and you can
it's,
check.
it's certainly not fair for any men to kind of peek into a woman's bag. I don't think that.
And then I want to answer you.
Sure.
About spiritual and about all the negativity around us and how to heal an individual from inside is that believe on Allah Ta'ala. Believe Allah Ta'ala that whatever He has designed for us, one day we will be getting it, definitely. And there is no end when we are not at our destination. That is my belief. There is always in between, somewhere we are in journey.
Exactly. And we are always in journey too as well. And this is something I believe, you know, every single day, ladies and gentlemen, it is the process which you need to enjoy. It's not the destiny where you need to be. It's the process of getting towards your destiny. And alhamdulillah, for all of those people who dream, whatever you dream, please make sure that you know, Allah Mia gives it to you. Allah Mia bestows all His blessings upon all of us as well. But very quickly, one last question towards the end. So you've mentioned it. I'm going to give you the recap for all our audiences out there. So my motive in life is work out every single day for 5 days a week, 2 days rest, and eat whatever you want. And I've been very satisfied with that routine of mine. But I do work out for almost 2 hours, which actually burns 700 to 800 calories. So the consumption of my calorie is probably 3,000 to 3,500. So brings it back to 2,200 to 2,300, which I believe is fair enough for an adult male, right?
Sometimes I don't believe this, just because to eat everything and do lots of workout, it's a stress on your muscles, your mental health, your physical health, and your environmental health too. Just because if you are putting everything inside, that can be junk, that can be rubbish, and your workout cannot give you the gut
you know
health.
those peanut-filled chocolates, you know, I just love them the most.
Sometime you can give treat. It's not going to treat, it's give a mimic.
Sometimes you need to be easy on yourself, yeah. You need like, okay, haan, khale.
Yeah. You can be, act like a childish. You can give your body childhood memory that, let's go for holiday. But yes.
Well, thank you very much, Hina. Thank you very much for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. Since we're short on time, we would certainly like to have you over again as well. But for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you eat your fruits, your vegetables, and you know, all complex carbohydrates. Not just that, beans, microorganisms as well, and all seeds. Kalwanji, you know, chia seeds, or whatever. But please make sure that you eat them in the right proportion. Make sure that you're not eating all day long. Make sure your tummy is not a garbage can to yourself where you put everything inside. because you know, I wanted to say that, but I'm going to say it after the show. Do you want to say something?
Okay, I really wanted to say, you know, that we heard this term a lot, that sound mind and sound body, right? So, you know, when you have a sound body, which comes, you know, when you mention a lot of things like that, right? And also there one other thing I like to mention is that, you know, how we need to incorporate mobility in our lifestyles, because I do feel that modern era has restricted our mobility a lot. We have cars and motorbikes and whatnot, you know, and that has restricted our walking routine and whatnot. So that's a goodbye for now. With another time, with the next episode, we'll come back and with a good research, we will present in another program.
Till the next time, look after yourself. Since it happens to be Friday, please make sure that you remember us, our entire team, you know, all of those people who, you know, kind of come over onto the show as well, you know, because it's a team effort, ladies and gentlemen. When the team works, the dream works as well. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Jummah Mubarak. Allah